What's up, everyone? My name is Josh, and this is Josh Unboxed, and welcome to the Daily Grind, where I talk about cards and strategies in particular to help us navigate through this crazy sports market. And today, I feel like rather than give a play on a particular card, I kind of want to talk about strategy. And I'm pretty sure you guys hear this all the time. A lot of content creators have probably talked about it, and it's buying during the off season. It's one of the things that makes the most sense because as the season ends, cards tend to dip because there's no action going on. There's no sport, no games of that particular sport that's in the off season, and people are selling because they've already made profit. Some people might be panic selling because things are starting to dip, or people are just trying to create a profit to buy into new opportunities because as one sport enters the off season, another sport starts. So for example, right now I've been focusing on some baseball. You just saw Fernando Tatis Jr. Play that I suggested with the Heritage. So I've been looking into Tatis, I've been looking into Bichette, I've been looking into Luis Robert. Those three guys I've been looking into to buy in before April, before the season starts. I'm also looking into hockey right now because the hockey's set to start in a couple of weeks. Right now it's we're in January, beginning of January. In a couple of weeks the NHL is about to start, so it might be a little too late now to buy into a little bit of hockey, but I did kind of look into the prices a little bit, and I have seen them starting to rise a little, but it doesn't mean I didn't buy any Connor McDavid opportune cards. So but buy during the off season is such a simple strategy, but it's hard. Let me explain, because when you buy in the off season, you're expected to hold on to these cards for like 3 months, 4 months, for a few months, trying to wait for it to rise and then sell off. But a lot of us, we get hit by that FOMO bug where we buy these cards in the off season, but then like a month down the line, an opportunity pops up and you really want to buy in because you want to catch the wave before it completely jumps up. So what do? You sell your cards that you bought that you're intending to hold. And I've done that a couple of times myself, where I would buy a card low, right? And then I would sell it like a month later or a few weeks later so I could buy into another thing. And I'm trying to get myself more disciplined to buy cards in the off season, and that's part of the reason why I do the research in a whole bunch of different sports. That's why I'm looking a lot more into hockey, into baseball, into football, into basketball. I'm a big basketball guy. That's what I mainly collect is basketball, but I'm finding opportunities in other sports that are hitting the off season, so I can catch it during the dip and sell during the rise, and that money, that profit goes into the cards that I'm gonna stash long term. And that's another strategy that I think I'll talk about in another video, but this video is all about buying in the off season. You guys probably saw it back in October when the NBA season ended. A lot of cards started to dip. LeBron James, Anthony Davis, Jimmy Butler cards, Trae Young, Luka Doncic, all those cards started to dip because as that season ended, football started. And what happened as football was catching the wave, everyone was selling basketball. Not everyone. Most people were probably selling basketball to buy football. And I believe that's just how the current state of the card market is going to be going forward. People buying into the hype as things are starting to rise right before the season starts, trying to make a quick buck within a few months rather than holding for like 3 months, 4 months, because it's a lot sexier to make a 5x, 10x return within a couple of weeks to a month versus making that same amount in a 4-month span. And a lot of times is that some people will get caught up in the hype, and some people will be caught holding the bag. Unless you buy it like a month before the season starts, then you might see those big returns, much like the Markelle Fultz play that I showed you the other day, in which in early December, his PSA Silver 10 Prism rookie card was at 3 something, about 300, 380, 350, and it had jumped up to 625 within that month. So unless you can buy in early, then you have that opportunity to make that ROI within that short time frame. But what we're trying to talk about here is buying an off season and holding on to it. If it's a player you believe that things are going to happen, you got to be patient. I think patience is key. We get too swept up with FOMO to the point where we end up selling cards too soon, or we end up buying cards on its rise to the point where your percentage, ROI percentage, is kind of lower than if you would have bought it earlier. And a lot of times, you'll hear people say, "Oh man, I wish I would have bought it earlier. I wish I would have bought a couple of these earlier." Well, this is your opportunity, So with baseball starting in April, probably you got another month or so to buy into baseball cards before it starts heating up again. Because then when baseball starts, right, we're in the latter half of the NBA season, and yes, we'll be going into playoffs, so I think basketball cards will start going up again. But when baseball starts, I'm going to be looking into football next, because we'll be we'll be like 2 months into the off season of football, and I'm going to look into guys like Josh Allen. I'm going to look into guys like Kyler Murray. We're going to look into Joe Burrow. We're going to look into the greats like Tom Brady, Patrick Mahomes. We're going to look into that, because it's going to be interesting to see when these cards dip and for how long they're going to stay at this point, because now everyone's going to try to catch the bug. And one of the great things, or one of the things you could think about, is that once baseball season starts, and like I said earlier, we're going to be in the midst or going towards playoff basketball, and people are going to start buying into the hype of the playoff teams that are going in. Guys like LeBron James is probably going to go up. Giannis, you're going to see these cards go up because people are going to start thinking about the odds of a person winning a championship and thinking that their cards will go up after they win a championship. Majority of the time, it's not true. Majority of the time, cards tend to dip after a championship because everyone has the same idea of selling. So I think it'll be a good opportunity to buy football in April and May and June. And then as we go into the NBA off season, it's going to be a good time to buy like in August, because by that time, August, September, or even in July, August, September will probably be good times to buy basketball cards, because we'll probably have a dip as we go into the baseball playoffs in October, at the latter half of September, and September football starting, we're going to see rises in those, and basketball cards decline. So you can really use this to your advantage if you really think about it. A lot of times, like I say, it's FOMO that gets us, and we end up selling either too early, or we don't have the patience to hold on for 4 months. But it's a great opportunity to be able to make some profit so that you can buy into other cards that you can hold on to long term. Well, depending on what your aim is in the hobby. Are you here to make a quick buck? Then maybe buying in the off season might not be for you. You might want to buy like a month before and then catch the wave going up, just to make that quick jump right away. Are you here to collect? Well, in order to get those nice pieces for your PC, you might want to consider buying in the off season for those pieces, right? Because sometimes those cards will dip. If you are someone who's looking into sports cards as an alternative investment and looking into those rare cards to hold on long term, then you might want to consider buying in the off season and selling before the season starts in order to make that capital or enable to have those funds to buy those rare cards. And that's my aim, that's my strategy with it. So buy in the off season, sell during the hype. As things start to rise, you can never lose off of making money. But I'm surprised. Don't lose patience though. This is a long game. It's a long game, not a short game. And if you think about it that way and you make sound decisions, smart choices on knowing when to buy and when to sell, you might not be able to buy right at the very bottom of the dip. You might not be able to sell at the peak because we never know when those things happen. But we can be smarter and buy at the right times and sell at the right times. So I think that's pretty much it. Bottom line, buy in the off season, sell before the hype. All right. I hope you guys found some value in this. If you enjoyed it, go ahead and smash that like button. Consider subscribing if you'd like. The idea, the overall goal of this channel of me talking about sports cards is to, one, not have you pay for a membership, because I think it's ridiculous when people are asking you to pay money for their picks or for their advice. We can do our own research and we can find out and make sound decisions, but the opportunity to educate and provide value in that way is my overall aim. I don't want to have anyone pay for a membership program when the information is at the tip of your fingers. And it's also fun talking about sports cards. As a former collector of video games and other things, collecting sports cards it's just fun. Brings me back to my childhood of when I collected in the 90s. And it's fun trying to predict the market and trying to make the right choices to buy into the bigger cards for the end game, which is to pass on to my son for him to do whatever he wants to do with these cards. So with that being said, thank you guys for watching. My name is Josh, and I'll see you guys at the next video. Later.